All right, welcome to the Chantay Golson Show, where every entrepreneur and C-level and above executive will gain meaty information that will help them to be more profitable, to help them to be more efficient with their outcomes, and to help them with team building. I have a special guest today, and we're so excited all the way over in the UK. She's here with us on this morning. So I want you to grab your coffee, grab your tea, remove all distractions, and get ready to listen, because we're going to learn how or learn more about scaling business and more about entrepreneurship. And I'm very excited to speak with this guest. So our guest today, she has a history of scaling businesses from 1 to 10 million is her specialty. Now, she's had some pitfalls. There has been some good times and there's been some bad times, and we know as entrepreneurs that is the exact cycle. But she's here to help us to learn what she has learned throughout the years in getting it right. So welcome, Jan. Welcome to the Chantay Golson Show. I'm so super excited that you're here.
I'm equally super excited to be here. I'm so grateful to you for having me.
Well, absolutely. I just love your expertise. And you've been in business, what, over 30 years? Is that correct?
Coming up for 40. It's terrible. So it's such a long time.
But that makes us so excited, because that means you have a wealth of information for us today.
I certainly have a wealth of experience, as you rightly say, good and bad. If there's a mistake out there, I've probably made it. But yeah, I've got a lot of experience mounted up and a lot of learning from some other great people.
Mm-hmm. And you tell me that you write about this to entrepreneurs. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I do. That's what I do sort of full time now. You know, I ended up, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but I really burnt out in running businesses, as you might imagine, after that length of time. And so my passion was to write. And I thought, what do I know about? And it came back to thinking, I probably know a bit about entrepreneurship and good and bad and mistakes to avoid and things like that, and scaling businesses. So that's the answer. And I'm very, very lucky I do it full time, which means talking to a lot of fabulous people. And I've also got a book coming out, which I've just heard it's just been brought forward. I haven't even had a chance to tell you this, but it's been brought forward. The UK publishing date's now 4th of February. So I'm not sure yet when the American one is, but it will obviously be on Amazon and things. So not long to go, all of a sudden.
All right, well,
First
congratulations.
book. Thank you very much.
So let's move into this meaty information, shall we? Okay,
Sure.
so tell us what you do. I know you write now, but if we can go back to when you actually was working on businesses and helping people to scale business, what exactly were you doing and what did you do?
Of course. I started off as very much a tiny business person, really either self-employed or one or two men businesses, tiny little things, which were fun and they were great and they provided an income. So not the entrepreneurial world as such, but sort of mini-sized one. And then, of course, I had children, very important that. And they were very important to me, and I ended up a single mum, and very broke, as often happens, and children needed supporting, and I needed to get to work and do some work seriously for a change, and really bring in some serious money. So I was gathering my skills of what I'd learned entrepreneurship-wise, knew I'd got some selling skills, and thought I would start selling furniture, which I also knew a bit about, to interior designers, because I could do it from home, look after the children at the same time. And I literally started, would you believe, running this business on a shelf under the stairs at home, with in those days with sort of pre-computers or anything, showing my age, but I had a fax phone and a card index box, and that was my extravagant office, that was. But believe it or not, it built up, and I scaled that to 40 odd staff, and a multi-million turnover. So, it taught me an awful lot about the bumps doing that. I had no financing originally at all, and it was a roller coaster for travel, as they tell you, it really was. And the sort of last few years of that, I got involved in thinking I better learn how to do this. A little bit late in the day, but I better learn from other people. And I got to know, I joined a sort of high-flying club for entrepreneurs, and I got to know some amazing English entrepreneurs over here, and learned a great deal, which I was trying to put into place in my business. So sort of that combination of, in the end, book learning, if you like, and learning from other entrepreneurs, really, really good ones, huge ones, and my own experience, I hope is of value to people, because it's a valuable deep well to pull on now.
Okay. Okay. So in your story that you share, which leads you to scaling your business and later on to this particular point, how do you find that all of the struggles from your previous business and scaling your business, having children, having emotional crisis of divorce and things of that particular sort, how do you now say that it helped you versus hurt you once you were finished with the pain? How did it help you?
That's a fascinating question. I think children are a fantastic motivator. As a mum, we will do, well, possibly as a dad too, but certainly just dealing with my own experience, as a mum, we will do anything to fight for our kids.
Yeah.
So all that sort of messing around that, I'll do a bit of this, can't be bothered today, goes right out the window, and you really learn to work hard, and you really learn resilience, because you just, for them, it can't go wrong, it can't stop, you have to succeed.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge lesson. I think that was amazing. And actually, in the days when the children were small, I had some phenomenal problems, scaling that business. I was saying I didn't have any finance, and I got into awful messes because I got into manufacturing as well. And of course, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was setting up a factory, and I had no idea how much it was going to cost, and sort of moving machinery. I just thought you push it in the back of a van, like you did when you're moving house. It never occurred to me that you needed cranes and things. So it's stupid mistakes, but nobody in their right minds would have made. So I got into a lot of trouble, but there was just not going to be an option to fail because first kids.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot.
Why?
What on the downside, I think, as the children got older, and they had their own lives, that why and that push had gone. And you're obviously the burnout expert, but I think, without doing it for others, it's so much easier to do it for somebody else. And I kept on thinking, I must keep going. I know my stuff. I must do this. It's a sensible thing to do. But it's not enough motivation that, whereas it's so simple if you're doing it for a good purpose, be it your impact on the planet or your children or whatever, that sustains you through anything.
So you lost your purpose once you didn't have to take care of the children so much financially and all that. Okay. All right. Then I'm curious, what happened after that point? After you realized that your why was different, was it difficult for you to find another why? Or were you so much in the category of your identity being your children's why that you lost your own identity?
I think I thoroughly lost my own, to be honest, completely lost my own. I remember sort of the empty nest syndrome bit, which I went through, just on a home basis, and finding it hard to decide what to buy from a supermarket. I had no idea of who I was anymore.
And that's the most common with mothers that I work with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Fascinating.
Did you ever pick up another why, or was that the point that your business started scaling down and you started transitioning?
Yeah, I mean, I kept on to this idea that I should do it, and I was providing employment, and it was sensible for my old age, and all, sort of, as I say, lots of tedious should things, which doesn't do it at all. But I did drag it out for a long time, and you're right, slowly it chipped away at the business, and it just was all downhill in the end, and it took a girl in my office to turn around and say, why are you doing this? It's obviously, we can all go and get another job tomorrow. Why on earth are you bothering? And I thought, why am I bothering? This isn't what makes me happy anymore. And that was it. And I struck a deal. I sold the brand on, and I struck a deal just to wind the thing up, because I just, I'd gone for 20 years and I was ill. I really was. I was absolutely gone. And, I went home, drew the curtains, didn't surface for a month.
Did you find yourself going into a depression, or do you think it was something else?
I'd slipped in and out of more anxiety, but with a touch of depression. They're so near cousins, aren't they? But throughout those last years, and no, oddly enough, when I stopped, I didn't have any of it. It was just pure relief and exhaustion. It was, thank goodness for that. I'm done. And it took me a while to think, oh, but what now? I am done, but what next? Right. I'm still here, so
right. So that's when the writing and etc. took place. I relate to what you were saying. Really, as you may mention, I am a burnout recovery coach and consultant. So yeah. I relate. I fried myself crispy on both ends to where I had to make a decision. Do I care for me, or do I continue to serve people, but put me in the ground? So I decided to scale down, and that's very scary for a lot of people. Yeah. I had multiple clinics, and so I just decided to scale all the way down, get rid of everything, make sure that my staff was okay, and things like the sort, because mental exhaustion, burnout is so bigger than just having simple moments of stress.
Isn't it just?
Yes. So I relate to exactly what you are talking about. And yes, how it has some scary components because you're not doing what you're used to doing for all those years, but yet you feel relief. Woo! Yeah. I get exactly what you're saying. But a lot of people aren't brave enough to care for themselves in that way.
I think that's what took me a very long time. I think we're sort of conditioned to think, that looking after yourself is a selfish thing to do. And the moment you have children too, then you're absolutely, that's reinforced because, they've got to come first. And you just forget that you exist at all, and that you have needs and wants, and, then it's for business needs you.
Right.
I love that expression of yours, fried me crispy. I'm going to have to remember that. That's brilliant.
Okay, so tell me this. Tell me, what do you think about what are the key points that people should consider in deciding if they need to scale their business and if it's the right time or not? Let's give us this good information.
Well, I tell you, I mean, I drifted into it because, of course, at that stage I was doing everything for the first time, and I was ignorant and everything else. And I mean, it went swimmingly. You know, we grew like crazy. You know, and we were sort of up for fast growth awards and everything. But you know, knowing what I was doing was not the case really, and so I didn't take a lot of these steps. But I know now that what I should have done. And that's spending, you know, some time thinking about what is for you. We're very conditioned to think big is best, aren't we? You know, and it's the right thing to do to grow. Um, and of course, it's not. Quite often, you know, you've got a fabulous business that suits you, suits your lifestyle, making money, you know, but somebody somewhere says, oh, you've got to grow that. You know, and it's nonsense. It gets ruined in the process. You know, you want to be careful why you want to do it. I mean, if you're doing it for a sort of fantastic reason that you want to impact as many people as possible, or you know you want to make this massive change to the planet or something, you may feel that you've got to grow it to the maximum possible because that, you know, then you make maximum impact.
Right.
But you know, if you're just wanting a nice business that's bringing you you know, a good income and a good quality of life, you definitely want to be scratching your head and thinking, do I want to mess this up by going big because I should do, you know, because somebody says somewhere I should do, it's expected of me.
So you're really saying that big is not always better.
I am, yeah.
So then, what would be the first steps then of strategy in seeing out the scaling process? And then also, if you had to do it all over again and you allowed yourself to scale, what would be those differences in your mindset that would cause the scaling to be more productive than it was before?
I know, I'd love to have another go knowing what I know now, but I'm a bit long in the tooth for it. People, and people, most of all. I mean, assuming you had the vision, like we were saying, you know, you've got to have, because wanting to get rich won't do it. You know, once you've taken money off the table and, you know, you're okay financially, it won't keep you going through the highs and lows, I don't believe.
Yeah.
You know, because it's what you should do won't keep you going. You know, it's the vision and the purpose that will keep you going. So assuming we've got that one lined up, then definitely the next thing is the people, and that's two lots of people. You want the people in your business, which I'll come back to in a second, and the people around you, because you're going to need a really good support system. And that, of course, is very tricky when you're a single mom sometimes. You might not have a batch of people who are also scaling up a business. Or you know, even if for some reason, you know, I know some people I talk to are single dads or, you know, for all sorts of reasons. You know, and I think people are more aware of this now. But you really want to make sure that you've got 2 or 3 or a small network or whatever of people who are hopefully in your sector definitely scaling businesses who understand the same problems that you're going through. You know, I think that's really key because otherwise it's so lonely.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, especially if you are the brand of the brands, if you are known more than the colleagues.
Yeah.
And you find yourself being sucked dry because the people who want to be where you are trying to get so much for you, but you have nowhere to empty out. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, definitely. You know, so that's one lot of people, and then of course there's the people in the business yourself, you know, the business itself rather. You know, you want to be sure you've got people who are capable of growing and people who want to grow, which as we know is not necessarily the same thing.
Right.
You know, and if not, you're going to have to find them, and you need to find them before you scale. That was one of my biggest mistakes, you know, because they're going to have to be in place, and without the right people, you can't do it all on your own. When you're small, you know, we work ourselves. I mean, you, by the sound of it, you know exactly what I mean about this. You know, we push ourselves so hard, and we do everything ourselves, and we stay up till 2 in the morning, and we get up at 4, and you know, everything is scrabble, scrabble. I can do that. I'll take care of that. And then all of a sudden it's bigger, and there's, you know, you've only got that 2 hours or 4 hours sleep or whatever you're allowing yourself already. You haven't got any more to give. There have to be other people who are going to share that load of the capability to do so. And that's really tricky.
And you know, a couple of things I want to say. First of all, when we started talking about this section, I just wanted to clap. Because it is so true. I'm so in line with what you are saying. It's so absolutely important to build a team that can take you further. Now, building a team, now let's kind of talk about what you think about this. I believe in building a team in those gap areas that you're not good at. Can my team, I first have to have my vision. I got to know where I want to be in 5 years. Can this person, these people that I have hired, do they have the vision? Do they have the bandwidth? Can they think through critically through problems? Can I trust them to be able to do the work and things that particular sort? So it's very a testament to what you are saying, putting the right people in place. Now, not only that, these people they have to be able to do all of that, but they also will have to be able to fill in the areas that I'm weak.
Yes. It's such a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more, you know, and one of the, you know, again, part of that is that quite harsh self-realization of sitting down and saying, well, you know, I want to do the figures or whatever myself. I'm thinking, well, you know, actually, I'm not that good at it. Somebody else would be better at that, you know, or I'm lousy with people, you know, which of course not all entrepreneurs are any good with people, you know, or whatever it is. You have to be really honest with yourself, because actually that business in the end will have to run virtually without you. You will be all about the planning and the working on the business. You know, so all that stuff that you've been clinging on to from those early years, you know, you're going to have to let go anyway. So you might as well let go quickest the stuff you're bad at.
Yeah, I agree. People they're afraid that people won't do it right. So they are scared to delegate. I'm the only one who can do it right. Or I tried it, but they just didn't do it the right way. Well, that's what training and things are for. A lot of people are afraid to let go of their baby, if you will, because they feel like somebody else will destroy their baby. But what they don't understand, if they don't get help from other people, they will destroy their own baby. Woo, that was a word, Jay. That was a word.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it, not me.
That was a word. So we're really moving into the concept of mindset. So share with us the mindset that is so important to have when we're scaling a business.
I think you have to be in a really good place, actually, you know, because, you know, it will play into your insecurities. You know, there's I mean, the obvious one is imposter syndrome. You know, I'll tell you a story briefly. You know, when I won my first award, sort of ever, and I was only small and things, and I was invited to this awards dinner, and I never expected to get anything. And then I listened to the other people who were up for the award, because they were talking about, you know, how they do, you know, so and so, and you know, there was some biochemist from Cambridge who was researching something amazing, and you know, I thought, God, I want to go home. You know, I was with my son, and you know, I was saying to him, you know, we're in the wrong place. We shouldn't be here. You know, I got to go. You know, and he said, shut up, sit down and stay there, Mum. You can't walk out in the middle of dinner anyway. And of course, you know, unlikely though what I felt it was, my name was called out. And I was just stunned, so stunned. I went up to that stage, and you know those ceremonies they have, a lady there with a lovely big bunch of flowers, standing to greet you, and I tripped over going up the stairs,
Okay.
missed her altogether, and sort of catapulted forward to the podium. I was just going, what, but it just was out of my league that I could possibly be genuine.
Mm.
And then I won, I don't know if it's that award or another one later on, but I won some business coaching. And, of course I hadn't had any at that point. And I was so scared. I thought she was going to come in and sort of say, oh, we've got to take this award away from you. You're not really any good at all. Because we fight this I'm not good enough all the time, don't we? If we're
Yeah,
not careful.
some people do. Yeah, some people do. I know there are incongruences that we have in our mind concerning our limiting beliefs, meaning how we were born and what we saw our parents do or say or not do. And that can affect us as an adult because how we look at the world is relevant to the decisions that we make. And so not only personally, but professionally. And so you were stating that you were sitting at this award banquet, not believing that you should receive a reward, that you should receive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you believe that you weren't good enough. And I can see how that really could affect. Now, let's kind of talk about this because when we're talking about mindset and we're talking about emotion, it's so easy to sit in your business and cover up all this, to wear a mask, isn't it? It's so easy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm totally in control.
Right. And a lot of times when I do executive leadership coaching and consulting, we find that there are a lot of people who have pride in these high positions who are at the top and kind of alone, like we were talking about a little earlier. So
yes.
What do you think a person should do regarding mindset prior to scaling? What should they do?
I think they need to very much recognize that they're going to have to work on themselves as much as the business. And then, again, they need the support system, but they need a team around them, which might well be a coach, but whoever is going to actually both sort of challenge and support them to develop and get to grips with their own fears and open themselves up to learning too, because it can be, I think insecurity can be a great barrier to learning because you're afraid to learn in case you fail. So it's, I mean, I've got to this stage now where I'm absolutely cool about the whole thing, but it took me so long, and it was a real battle, and I, as you say, I had the front on, but it sure as hell wasn't going on behind.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. So you need to get a better mindset shift. So you do that through coaching, you do that through online programs, you do that through different demands or needs. Now, when we're talking about scaling, you have something that you call the 4 top tips for scaling up. Can you tell us about that?
The four which what? So I didn't quite
catch the word. Top tips.
The four top tips for scaling up. Yeah. I mean, the first one is undoubtedly your vision. Don't do it unless you've got a vision, and make sure that vision is so much yours. Again, not a good idea. It's got to come from the heart. It really has, to keep you going. So vision is definitely number one. Then there's, what don't do what I do. Do as I say. Don't drift into scaling. Because, as I say, you could be destroying something that's, you're actually very happy at, or it isn't, the business isn't right, or you haven't got the people, or for all sorts of reasons. Just because you're doing really well at 100,000 turnover doesn't mean to say you'll do really well at 200,000 pound turnover or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So vision and not drifting are the first one, the first two rather.
Okay.
Then we're talking about communication, because you've got to be, it's one thing to have your vision,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to have to communicate that vision and communicate it with clarity and with such power that those people that you've now surrounded yourself with, or even that you go out looking for, get so excited about that vision that they want to be a part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real skill, and it's got to come from the heart, because otherwise people won't buy in.
Mm-hmm.
But communication is definitely the next one. And the last one is definitely down to the self-care, sorting yourself out, looking after yourself, not putting yourself last, actually taking time off. There's a very successful entrepreneur I came across who said that he worked school term times. And this is talking an international business, but he built up, sort of in the States and in the UK and sold in the end. And he literally worked school term times because he felt that he could do that to work best, to rest in the holidays. And I actually get it. He must have had the
Yeah.
right support team to take the holidays off. But he must have been, well, he was and is a fantastically successful entrepreneur. But I get why. So it's self-care. So you want to think about those four.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, and not being afraid of self-care. I know a lot of executives are afraid of self-care daily.
Are they?
Yeah, as far as, there's used to be a statement that you are wimpy, or you're not efficient if you don't eat at your desk, or
Yes.
if you take a break,
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
I mean, requesting time off or not working of an evening was thought to as a bad thing, wasn't it?
mm-hmm.
You were lazy, you weren't committed,
Right. And I can see how that can affect a lot of mindsets as well, because my audience are in between 35 and 66 plus. And so if they are in the lad of 50 or more, then they're coming with this mindset. No, I can't take off. No, take a break. Go around the pavilion and walk. What? No. So we try to emphasize self-care, daily self-care, miniature self-care.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to leave the environment. Sometimes the environment can be conducive to anxiety, and so you got to step away.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Second that one.
Yeah. So, Jan, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this book a little bit more specifically. What's the name of your book that's coming out? And we can find it on Amazon, but can we find it elsewhere?
You can. I mean, it's going to be in all the sort of major bookstore-shops for Barnes and Noble, and trying to think where else sort of over there. But Barnes and Noble's a big one for you in the US, I think. It's called Scale for Success.
Okay.
And it takes people on a journey through all the sort of major areas of scaling a business. So we talk about vision and values, and we talk about money, and sales and marketing, and strategy. What have I missed out? Sort of a bit about mergers and acquisitions, and the whole gamut. But I've been very lucky. I've worked with on it 30 entrepreneurs from around the planet, literally, and they've all contributed something to a particular topic. So there's a lot more wisdom than just mine floating around. In fact,
Okay.
it's yeah, hugely theirs. They're great.
Well, I would love to invite you back once the book has hit the
Oh,
shelves.
that's so kind. I'd love to come back.
Absolutely. So
It's
that we
been a
can,
real pleasure.
yeah, I've had a great time as well. Since we can show the cover and kind of talk about it and maybe do a little read through. Yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
Why not?
Sounds great. I'd love that. Absolutely love it.
Well, you are welcome to come back and we'll talk a little bit about that
Thank you.
offline. So I have a silly question before we go today. The question is, if you could be any animal, what animal would you be and why?
Wow. Goodness gracious me. I I'm a true Tory, and I think I'd have to, and an entrepreneur as well. I think I'd have to go for the lion.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, so tell us why. Why does the lion resonate with you?
I think that they're resilient, they're strong, they're quite a lot. I'm thinking, I regret to say, I'm thinking male lion. They're the chief of the pack. But they seem to care for their pack as well. I guess it's the sort of role I'm used to playing. You're the breadwinner or the food provider or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful animals. I'd love to look like a lion.
My animal would be an eagle. And
Oh, wonderful.
the reason being, when I think of an eagle, and it actually is on my front cover, I'm coming out with a new book as well, Burnout
Wow.
Freedom, the entrepreneur's discovery to self-fulfillment. So that'll be hitting probably next year as well. But I have a bird there on top. But why I like and this particular bird is because it soars so high, but it's such a visionary because their eyes are so powerful that they can see way down their target. So I look at them as being such a visionary. I link with that. So
I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing, and that suits you.
well, thank you. And I thank you for entertaining my question as well.
Oh, my pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
So thank you again for being here. All right, guys, that's the end of the Chantay Golson show for this particular episode. Tune in next Thursday for our episode. Now, if you want to see the visual or the video episode, head over to my YouTube channel and subscribe to Chantay Golson International. We'll see you next Thursday. Bye for now.